The new year will bring massive increases in health coverage costs for Americans on Obamacare.
In Pennsylvania, this woman worries about increasing costs for prescription meds.
It's crazy.
She says if this isn't solved, her husband won't be able to retire.
You got to choose health insurance or a house payment.
Covered California says premiums for its average customer will jump 97%. And this man says it's like being
in a wrap without being able to steer.
And that was correspondent Allison Keyes. The House is expected to vote in January on a Democratic plan to extend the subsidies for 3 years, but it faces headwinds in the Senate. An oil tanker that the U.S. has been chasing in the Atlantic has painted a Russian flag on the ship.
U.S. officials tell the New York Times the crew of the Bella One is apparently trying to claim Russian protection as it refuses to be boarded. The U.S. Coast Guard has been pursuing the tanker since December 21st. The Bella One has been under U.S. sanctions since last year for transporting Iranian oil, which the U.S. says is sold to fund terrorism. The tanker has changed course away from the Mediterranean Sea and appears headed for Greenland or Iceland. The U.S. has already seized 2 oil tankers near Venezuela this month. The crews of those ships agreed to be boarded.
And that was correspondent Michael Wallace. Russia launched an overnight drone strike on southern Ukraine, injuring 6 people, including 3 children. The latest attack comes as Ukraine's President Zelensky raises the possibility of American troops being deployed to his country as part of security guarantees.
So far, no word from the White House on where President Trump stands in all of this. The White House has previously insisted that no U.S. troops would be sent to Ukraine, even as part of a peacekeeping effort. Now, Zelensky was actually just here in Florida meeting with President Trump a few days ago, and both leaders say they're close to an agreement when it comes to security guarantees, but still no breakthroughs when it comes to the broader peace deal.
Correspondent Selena Wang. The city's Broadway Con begins in just a few weeks. We'll tell you all about that, but first, Winds News Time 3:51. Let's get you where you need to go. Here's Sue Aller.
We got a big mess on the Garden State Parkway in New Jersey. We'll start with a stall southbound right by exit 136 in Cranford. Takes out the right lane, but then just after that at exit 137, 2 left lanes are blocked with an accident. Delays go back to Route 78. So in this area, definitely stick with the turnpike. And now on 287 northbound at exit 41, which is Route 80 in Parsippany. There's an accident and you got the right lane closed. And here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. About 30 minutes both ways at both the Lincoln and Holland tunnels. Now inbound George Washington Bridge, about 45 minutes jam-packed, all because of a problem on the eastbound side of the Cross Bronx Expressway right at Southern Boulevard. There's a collision taking out the center lane. And then on the outbound side, that's about a 30 to 40 minute delay. But good news in the Bronx on the Bronx River Parkway. Southbound just past Boston Road, we had a stall that cleared away. You're jammed in Brooklyn on the eastbound BQE with an accident at Atlantic Avenue, and now westbound at McGinnis Boulevard, there's a 2-car crash blocking the right lane. Sue Aller, 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM.
Let's get a check now of the AccuWeather forecast. Here's meteorologist Brian Thompson.
Well, Suzanne, as we head into tonight, the clouds will continue to increase and thicken. We really won't see too much in the way of any snow during the evening hours, but as we get toward midnight and beyond into the overnight hours, that's when we'll have the best chance for some occasional snow and some flurries. Snow can accumulate a coating up to an inch, especially late tonight. Now, temperatures aren't going to move much really throughout the rest of the afternoon into the evening. We expect a midnight temperature in Times Square around 32, which is pretty close to where we are right now. And then an overnight low of 28 tonight. Another flurry or two around early tomorrow for New Year's Day. Otherwise blustery and cold with a mix of sun and clouds. 32 the high early. Then temperatures will fall back into the upper 20s. AccuWeather real field temperatures mainly in the teens. Mainly clear and colder tomorrow night. Lows in the teens to around 20. It stays pretty cold into Friday and Saturday with a mix of sun and clouds. High 30 Friday, 33 Saturday. And we'll keep that dry weather going into Sunday. Right now mostly cloudy and 31 degrees. In Midtown we're going down to 28. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Brian Thompson on New York's weather station, 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM.
A list of the highest grossing movies of the year is out.
Taking the #1 spot globally is one you probably haven't even seen.
He's not exactly your average kid.
Ninja 2, an animated movie from China, made $2.2 billion worldwide. That was way more than the big Hollywood blockbusters like Zootopia 2 and Lilo and Stitch. While Ninja 2 dominated globally,
Welcome to the overworld.
A Minecraft movie was the top grossing film in North America for much of the year.
Correspondent Stacey Lynn. And now Bloomberg Money Watch.
Approaching the final closing bell for Wall Street in 2025, the main indexes are lower. Dow, Nasdaq, S&P each losing 0.5%. Giant package delivery company DHL has been a leader in embracing electric-powered trucks. Currently operates electric semis from BYD, Volvo, and Daimler, and soon Tesla. DHL says that after tests on a Tesla semi in California exceeded expectations, delivering full payloads over hundreds of miles between charges, it will order more Tesla trucks for delivery in the new year. I'm Andrew O'Day, Bloomberg Money Watch. 1010 wins at 92.3 FM.
1010 wins.
I love that I get so much news in such a short period of time.
The news I care about.
All news all the time.
1010 wins.
1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
WINS FM in HD1 New York. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Sweet Tina Kakara is at the editor's desk. I'm Suzanne Colucci.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM, New York.
Down to 29 degrees with clouds at 4 o'clock. I'm Paul Murnane. Here's what's happening. Onward to 2026. The new year moving in, including a little touch of snow and a lot of cold. Live AccuWeather details ahead. The new year is marching in across the globe. The crowd gathering in Times Square right now under a security blanket.
Using video and AI surveillance of the Times Square area to know what's going on.
The MTA vows to learn from a scary moment caught on camera involving its new subway gates, including a kid with his head caught in the doors. The Brooklyn DA says the borough's on track to make history in 25 with the lowest crime stats ever. A wandering wallaby at Walmart, but Rex says he's known as safe and sound after his rescue in South Jersey. The Caps beat the Rangers on the ice this afternoon. The Knicks take on the Spurs on the road tonight, and the markets close lower at the final bell of 2025. Wins News Time 4:01, Mercedes-Benz of Edison.com Traffic Center, and here's Sue Aller.
Just loaded up on the Garden State Parkway, New Jersey, southbound with a two-car crash, taking out 2 lanes at exit 137 in Cranford. It is just bumper to bumper. Delays go all the way back to 78. You want to avoid this. Stick with the turnpike over here. There's another accident on 287 northbound at exit 41, which is Route 80 in Parsippany. That one takes out the right lane. And here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. We're looking at about 30 minutes both ways, and that's at both the Lincoln and Holland tunnels. Now, inbound George Washington Bridge, we're seeing about a 35 to 40 minute delay to both levels. Once you get off onto the Cross Bronx Expressway at Sheridan Boulevard, there is a collision off on the shoulder. Outbound, also a 30-minute delay. We also have slowdowns heading into Queens at the RFK Triborough Bridge, and Brooklyn-bound Brooklyn Bridge is completely jammed. And in Brooklyn, eastbound BQE, watch out for an accident right at Atlantic Avenue. You also have one on the BQE westbound at McGinnis Boulevard that takes out 2 lanes. Sue Aller, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
Well, the gates have opened. The crowd is assembling in Times Square, but the fluttering confetti could be followed late tonight by some snow flurries, or maybe even a touch of light snow. But let's learn more about that as we check in live with AccuWeather and Brian Thompson. Brian?
Yeah, Paul, it is going to be snowing in many places as we get later on into tonight. It's going to take a while for that snow to get here, though. I think most of it will fall around or after midnight tonight, but it is going to remain pretty cold in Times Square. The good news is that we don't really anticipate temperatures falling. We're at around 31 degrees now, and we expect the midnight temperature to actually be around 32. AccuWeather real field temperatures will be mostly in the 20s. There will be a little bit of a breeze at times, but certainly not as strong as the wind was yesterday. And again, most snow holds off until around or after midnight. So we might have some flurries in Times Square at midnight. Snow could accumulate a coating up to an inch in spots across the area here as we head through the night. So there could be some slippery travel late tonight and the first thing tomorrow. Paul?
All right, Brian's back with your 4-day forecast into the beginning of 2026. That's coming up in about 10 minutes. The party records are all warmed up. If we're under a blanket on the couch for for the New Year celebration, they're out in the cold in Times Square. As always, the NYPD and an assortment of city, state, and federal agencies are coordinating their efforts. They're on the ground, they're overhead, and in the water. Retired FBI agent Richard Frankel is an ABC News contributor.
They've enhanced both using video and AI surveillance of the Times Square area to know what's going on, to have real-time intelligence, determining where people are, who's coming through the crowds. If anything happens, they're immediately able to zoom in on it and they're able to send in police, FBI, SWAT teams, emergency medical services.
Additional police are promised along the access points along 6th and 8th Avenues tonight, and mobile security teams will be inside the Times Square party zone for additional screenings if something raises concern. Chappell Roan, 50 Cent, AGR, Charlie Puth are among the entertainment figures in Times Square tonight. Leading up to the big moment, did we mention Diana Ross and Mariah Carey, too? We're tracking the arrival of 2026, time zone by time zone, on the march around the planet.
As the small Pacific nation of Kiribati that was the officially first country to welcome 2026. By now, Auckland, New Zealand, Sydney, Australia, Tokyo, Japan, Vietnam, and Thailand have all entered the new year. And now we get to keep following the celebrations around the world, from fireworks in Bangkok to fireworks right along the River Thames here in London. Of course, there's Rio's legendary yearly party on Copacabana Beach.
That's Maggie Rulli reporting from London, and midnight has just arrived in Doha, Qatar. If you're dead set on a New Year's makeover, that could be an overreach. The experts on resolutions suggest smaller, bite-sized changes for a new you.
The countdown to the ball drop is on, and people have New Year's resolutions on their mind.
Go to church more, hang out with my family even more.
Charles says in 2026, he's actually going to stick with it.
Volunteer more, give back.
What are you going to do more of in the new year?
More fun and more helping people.
We heard some basics you hear every year.
I'm going to eat healthier, I'm going to save money.
But then some people with some really big goals, like Ariel.
Find the main true love I want to have in my life. Going to finally finish my book I'm writing on.
The new year is full of possibilities, and there's still plenty of time to make a resolution and stick to it. Mary Lynn Buckley, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM in Times Square.
In about 8 hours, he'll be Mayor Zohran Mamdani taking the oath on a centuries-old Quran, a first in city history. That's what we're hearing. Ahead of that, Mamdani announcing his pick to lead the city's public schools, Kamar Samuels.
This moment demands a new generation of leadership that both understands our school system and has a transformative vision on how to remake it. Kamar is that leader.
Samuels is an education veteran. He served as the superintendent of District 3 on the Upper West Side.
More impressive, however, than his resume are the results he has achieved in these roles, delivering millions of dollars to integrate city schools and transitioning to new curricula that increased literacy rates by 5% in a single year.
Teachers Union leader Mike Mulgrew says that Samuels is a former teacher and a lifelong educator, adding, quote, "We're looking forward to working together to protect our students and school communities and to build a partnership able to tackle the challenges ahead." The outgoing Adams administration is out with its first annual report from the mayor's office to combat anti-Semitism. The office was created in May in response to the October 7th attacks. The mayor's office says it shows what can be done to institutionalize the fight against hate using existing resources through coordination, clear definitions, and moral clarity in public messaging. The report lays out future goals, including citywide training initiatives and enhanced enforcement. City officials say the report not only documents efforts against hate in New York, it can also serve, they say, as a guide for other cities. Well, you may be scrolling across a cringy video on your feed today involving the MTA's latest attempt against fare beaters. Certainly, it's hard to watch.
In that distressing video circulating online, a little girl's head stuck between the doors of the MTA's new fare gate. That audio you hear, her brother screaming as he stands on the opposite side of the gate, separated from his family. Riders like Hussein saw the video.
That's tragic, and they're just wasting money, in my opinion.
The MTA telling 1010 Wins they're learning more every day about designing modern, effective fare gates for the city. Amanda Alexander, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM at the Broadway Lafayette station.
The girl's mother tells Pix 11 the girl was freed with the help of a bystander and had to go to the hospital for treatment of head swelling. Brooklyn saw its safest year ever in 2025. Brooklyn DA Eric Gonzalez announcing murders and shootings have dropped to historic lows this year. Homicides down about 25%. Shootings dropped to about 15%. And the number of shooting victims dropped by 11% in 25. The borough has seen a downward trend for the past 5 years now, ever since crime spiked during the 2020 pandemic. In Manhattan right now, 29 degrees with some clouds, and we should be down around the freezing mark. We don't think it's going to get a lot colder by the time we get to the ball drop at midnight. But we do have some flurries and some snow, light snow at best. after midnight. Details on that straight ahead, and the traffic on this Wednesday, New Year's Eve. That's all straight ahead. Well, not to get personal here, but are you a last-minute mailer, if not a last-moment mailer? If so, you want to change your behavior because we have some new rules at the mailbox to tell you about in just a moment. But right now at 4:11, we get you where you need to go. And here's Sue Aller.
And here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. We're still looking at about 35 to 40 minutes inbound at the George Washington Bridge, all because when you come off of the bridge and onto the Cross Bronx, right by Sheridan Boulevard, you have an accident. It's been moved to the shoulder, but still causing a big mess out there. Outbound, at least 30 minutes, and we are looking at about 30 minutes in both directions at the Lincoln Tunnel. 45 in now at the Holland Tunnel. Outbound, still about a 20 to 25 minute delay. We're slow heading into Brooklyn at the Brooklyn Bridge and slow coming into Manhattan at the Midtown Tunnel. We also have big delays heading into Queens at the RFK Triborough Bridge. And now we're looking at a possible accident heading into Bronx and Manhattan right before the span. So just keep that in mind. But good news in New Jersey on the Garden State Parkway southbound, a crash cleared at exit 137. You had another accident at 287 northbound at exit 41, Route 80 in Parsippany. That has also been cleared away. Sue Aller, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
Let's get the latest now live in your AccuWeather forecast with a lot of cold and maybe a little bit of snow. Here's meteorologist Brian Thompson.
Yeah, Paula, we will have a bit of snow moving in later on this evening, especially as we get closer to midnight and into the overnight hours, as snow could accumulate a coating up to an inch, especially late. So watch for some slippery spots developing as the night goes on. For most of the evening, it'll just be mostly cloudy. And the good news is we don't really anticipate temperatures falling that much. We're expecting a midnight temperature around 32 in Times Square, which is basically right around where we are right now in many places, and an overnight low of 28. Now, we'll have another flurry or two into early on New Year's Day tomorrow. Otherwise, a blustery, cold day with some sunshine, high 32 early. Then temperatures will fall into the upper 20s late. AccuWeather real field temperatures mainly in the teens. Mainly clear and colder tomorrow night. Low 20 in the city. It'll be in the teens in the suburbs. Then Friday and Saturday, we'll have some sunshine. It will be brisk and cold. High 30 on Friday. 33 as we head into Saturday. Right now, 31 degrees. It's mostly cloudy in Midtown. We're going down to 28 tonight. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Brian Thompson on New York's weather station. 1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
And Brian, some of us are in the habit of mailing at the last moment. And if so, well, you have to know there's a new rule at the post office.
U.S. Postal Service is adjusting the rules around when letters are postmarked. So typically, when you send an envelope, the postmark date is stamped as the same date you drop it in your mailbox or at the post office. Well, now that postmark date could be several days later. The Postal Service says this is part of a modernization process, and it evolves around the reality that there are more packages in the mail than there are letters.
That's Elizabeth Schulze reporting. Time-sensitive mail should be put in days before any deadline, several days, in fact, they say. You can also go to the post office, ask for a hand-stamped manual postmark on the date, where you can use certified mail. Many states, including New York and New Jersey, accept absentee ballots with Election Day postmarks. In South Jersey, it certainly was the last thing that they expected to see in the parking lot at Walmart, but a lost wallaby is safe and sound.
Clarissa Harper was picking up milk in Williamstown, New Jersey, when a 3-foot-tall animal hopped across her path.
And I'm leaving the parking lot, and I look over, like, something's hopping in front of my car. I couldn't contain my excitement for this, like, whatever. I was like, it's a kangaroo.
Rex, who's actually a wallaby, escaped the Lots of Love Animal Sanctuary and Petting Zoo Monday. Volunteers then scouring the area. Drones were even used in the search.
At Sophie Flay reporting, Lots of Love Farm, and a Facebook post offered thanks to all, saying Rex must really like it at Walmart, but he's back home. As the holidays wind down, the decor has to go, and if it can't be stored or it simply won't keep if it's edible, we're hearing about a clever hack in Texas.
It was time to dismantle a huge display of gingerbread houses at the Museum of Fine Arts Bayou Bend in Houston.
We have about 570 gingerbread houses.
Artist John Lovich says any visitor who wanted to take a gingerbread house home could do so. For those still left, the Houston Pig Rescue and Farm Sanctuary brought in some of its residents to munch away. The sanctuary's Megan Say was impressed with the appetite of her star pig named Possum.
He is absolutely loving it. He thinks John is a gourmet gingerbread cook.
That's Michael Wallace reporting. And who had money on that and Possum? Here's a story of a New England couple that teaches us what you can do if you have a map and transportation and a lot of time on your hands.
Jenny McBride and Joe Gray of Newton, Massachusetts have now visited all 351 cities and towns in their state. McBride says they began after the pandemic ended and reached their goal this year.
These towns I hadn't really even heard of.
And Gray says they didn't just drive through places either.
We got town visit food. I got coffee from an independent coffee roaster.
That's Christopher Cruz on visits that we can only assume included a stop by the town of Belchertown, Massachusetts. Weekly applications for unemployment dipping below 200,000, even as the experts were predicting an increase last week.
Instead, the figure fell by 16,000 and was back below 200,000 in the week ending December 27th. But that comes just weeks after jobless claims surged to their highest in over 4 years. Analysts say holiday hiring and the residual effect of the federal shutdown has created additional volatility in the job market.
As Jim Ryan reporting, benefit filings are often impacted by holiday-shortened weeks. Some of those who maybe lost work in the last couple of days, maybe, they say, waiting to file until after the holidays are over. Thank you for making 1010 Wins your number one choice for news in New York.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
29 degrees and dropping at 4:20. I'm Paul Murnane. Here's what's happening. Will some flurries and flakes fall after the ball drop tonight? AccuWeather the details of what you need to know if you're going out to ring in 26 straight ahead. Additional security is promised for the Times Square party tonight. Some say they're coming with high hopes for the new year.
More love, more happiness.
The Justice Department reportedly will need hundreds of lawyers on the job until the end of January at least to get through the Epstein files backlog. Maybe you'll grab one as a souvenir. MetroCard sales are ending after 32 years of swipe again, swipe again. New data suggesting the depth of our phone obsession, texting, scrolling, and other phone time equals what they say is 83 days a year for us. Rangers lost to the Caps, and the Knicks take on the Spurs tonight on the road. Clouds and sun, a cold breeze, midnight in Times Square could include a snow flurry. Should be around the freezing mark for the ball drop. Here's news time 421, Mercedes-Benz of Edison.com Traffic Center. And here's Sue Aller.
And here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Inbound George Washington Bridge, about 30 to 40 minutes to both levels. Once you come off of the bridge and onto the Cross Bronx eastbound at Sheridan Boulevard, you have an accident. You got the right lane blocked, so it is just stop and go. Outbound, also about a 30-minute delay. And it's 30 minutes both ways at both the Lincoln and Holland tunnels. Now, heading into Bronx and Manhattan at the RFK Triborough Bridge, an accident was quickly cleared away, but very slow coming into Queens. In Brooklyn, you're jammed on the Brooklyn Bridge heading into Brooklyn. So stick with the Manhattan Bridge or the Williamsburg Bridge. Once in Brooklyn, the eastbound BQE has an accident at Atlantic Avenue, and very slow heading into Staten Island at the Goethals Bridge. So you might want to stick with the outer bridge instead. And traveling in Connecticut, southbound 95 by exit 11, there's an accident taking out the right lane. Stick with the Merritt Parkway instead. Here's what we see on Long Island's Big Three. Just a lot of volume, but no major incidents or anything on the southern, the northern, or the LIE. Sue Aller, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
Well, some of us will be sitting under the blanket on the couch tonight, but there'll be a security blanket over Times Square. The gates have opened. The crowd is moving in hours before the big event. If you're heading outdoors, wear layers. We checked in with AccuWeather's Brian Thompson.
This is the coldest New Year's Eve day we've had in a little while across the area. The last time it was this cold was back in 2017 when the high was only 21 degrees. We've had many recent years where high temperatures on New Year's Eve were in the 50s. So not nearly that warm this time around. But as we head into tonight, temperature at midnight at Times Square will be close to the freezing mark. There will be more clouds around tonight, and the potential for a bit of snow or some flurries. Might start to see that as we get closer to midnight in Times Square. Some flurries flying. The best chance for some snow will come after midnight tonight, when there could even be a coating to up to an inch in some parts of the area.
And Brian will be here with his 4-day forecast through the beginning of 2026, coming up in less than 10 minutes. Well, it's now the new year. It arrived this hour in Doha, Qatar, and time zone by time zone, the new year is marching across the globe. That's the sound of the big moment today in Seoul, South Korea. Additional police are promised at the check-ins tonight across 6th and 8th Avenues around Times Square to speed the crowd's entry. Mobile security teams will be out inside Times Square. Additional screenings if they see anything that raises concern. As many of us are doing the thing, going to go out and watch the ball drop. A lot of people around New York will say, yeah, we did that once. But for some, it's on the bucket list.
The countdown is on. 2026 just hours away, and where better to celebrate than the city that never sleeps.
Super exciting. My sister texted me, and she said, do you want to go to New York at 9? She gets off, and I said, okay.
The best place, the best people, best resolutions.
More success, more love, more happiness, and that we get to live a peaceful life.
Go to the gym more often, eat more. So it's a good balance.
Now, two things you have to balance in the city. Fun, yes, but safety. Heavy NYPD presence here. Helicopters and drones already overhead as the clock ticks on 2026. Amanda Alexander, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in Times Square.
Yeah, we'll cover the big event tonight. Mary Lynn Buckley leading our 1010 Wins coverage from Times Square. And you'll know it's midnight when all the fireworks go off, but for dogs and cats, it's a real ordeal.
The noise and vibrations from fireworks can be especially stressful for animals already coping with a difficult shelter environment. So tonight, on one of the loudest nights of the year, it will be quiet at the Dallas Animal Services Shelter in North Texas. Volunteers at the annual Calming the Canines event will sit with the animals, offering gentle reassurance. The shelter's Nashla Khalifa.
We really see it make a difference for the animals here in the shelter.
That's Christopher Cruz, the senior legal affairs reporter for Politico's in Hot Water with Ice. Josh Gerstein, referencing the federal investigation of social services in Minnesota, tweeted that at some point, the amateur effort to knock on doors, he said, of home daycares intersects with robust stand your ground laws. The Hill reports that DHS has been checking local daycare centers in Minnesota, and that ICE tweeted back that a senior legal affairs reporter for Politico would know better than to tweet something inciting violence against federal agents. And there's a report that ICE is planning to spend $100 million for what's called a wartime recruitment drive.
According to an internal document, ICE plans to spend a year recruiting gun rights and military supporters. The agency will use online influencers, Snapchat, the video platform Rumble, which is popular with conservatives, and also use ads targeting people who have attended UFC fights and listened to patriotic podcasts. The Department of Homeland Security has said it wants to hire more than 10,000 new employees.
That's Allison Keyes reporting. 29 degrees right now in Manhattan. Time for Bloomberg Money Watch.
Wall Street has wrapped up 2025 with a full year advance, but also 4 losses in a row. Today, the Dow lost 304, NASDAQ down 177, the S&P with a full year gain of 16%, lost 51 points today. In recent days, we've seen signs the nation's mostly stalled housing market may be on the cusp of moving again. Today comes word mortgage rates have slipped for the third straight week. Freddie Mac says the average rate on a 30-year fixed is now 6.15% from 6.18 last week. Lowest rate of the year. Amanda O'Day, Bloomberg Money Watch. 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
Wins News Time, 4:30.
Good afternoon, I'm Suzanne Colucci. As we head into a new year, the Jeffrey Epstein saga is continuing on. The Justice Department just revealed it has several million more pages of files to review.
The Department of Justice now says the number of documents related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein is 5.2 million. More than 400 attorneys are reviewing those documents, with the next anticipated release date expected around January 20th. The release of documents is already more than a week past the deadline mandated by law. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche has said redactions are necessary, and they take time, but he indicates the files will be released. Some members of Congress have been considering whether to impeach Attorney General Pam Bondi because of the delays in releasing the files.
And that was correspondent Linda Kenyon. Wins News Time, 4:31. Let's get you where you need to go. Here's Sue Aller.
And here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. We're down to about 30 minutes to both levels at the inbound George Washington Bridge. You are slow across the span, but good news on the Cross Bronx eastbound at Sheridan Boulevard. An accident just cleared away, so hopefully those inbound delays will start to ease out. Now on the outbound side, that's about 30 minutes as well. And we do have 20 minutes both ways at the Lincoln Tunnel, but 30 to 40 inbound at the Holland Tunnel, 20 to 25 on the outbound side. Now, we are slow heading into Queens at the RK Triborough Bridge, so you might want to stick with the 59th Street Bridge. Midtown Tunnel's doing okay. Jam-packed heading into Brooklyn at the Brooklyn Bridge. Go with the Manhattan Bridge or the Williamsburg Bridge. Once you're in Brooklyn, the BQE is real slow eastbound at Atlantic Avenue with an accident, and westbound you're hitting those brakes from basically Broadway all the way to the Brooklyn Bridge. And we're also slow heading into Staten Island at the Goethals Bridge, so you want to stick with the Outerbridge Crossing instead. Sue Allert, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
And now the AccuWeather forecast. Here's meteorologist Brian Thompson.
Suzanne, as we head through the remainder of the afternoon, we're going to continue to see the clouds thickening up here, and then into tonight, it will turn out mostly cloudy. We really won't see temperatures move a whole lot through the evening hours, so we'll see temperatures generally pretty close to 30 degrees, and by midnight in Times Square, probably somewhere around 32. We'll have an overnight low of 28. Now, there will be occasional snow or flurries, especially around or after midnight tonight. The snow could accumulate coating up to an inch, especially late tonight, and that could lead to some slippery spots. So there could be a few flurries in Times Square at midnight. Probably most of the snow will be later on, though, as it moves on through. But as we head into tomorrow morning, maybe a flurry or two to start. Otherwise, we'll be blustery and cold with a mix of sun and clouds. High 32 early. Temperatures fall into the upper 20s late. Actually, with the real field temperatures mostly in the teens. And then temperatures drop into the teens to near 20 tomorrow night under a mainly clear sky. Sun and clouds Friday, brisk and cold, high 30. Partly sunny, still cold for Saturday with a high of 33. Right now, 31 degrees. It is mostly cloudy in Midtown. We're going down to 28. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Brian Thompson on New York's weather station. 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
This is it, the final day for the Metro card. We're getting a warning, one last one from the MTA. The blue and yellow cards are being retired after 31 years. They're being replaced by the tap-and-go Omni system. This rider tells Wins the Metro cards hold a unique place in city history.
A monument for New York. It's going to be like the next Tim's. Next Timberland. It's like the next Timberland.
You gotta put it in a museum.
No, definitely a museum with the pigeons, with the rats and everything.
People who prefer, though, a physical card or paying with cash still have the option to buy an Omni card for $1 and then load money online. You can do this in stores or at Subway vending machines. Well, here's something we might want to change about 2026. Most of us have spent a staggering amount of time staring at screens.
A new study by Reviews.org found that on average, Americans check their phones nearly 200 times per day, or about once every 5 minutes while awake. Breaking it down even more, we spend 5 hours and 1 minute per day on our smartphones. That's the equivalent of about 83 days per year. But it's not just phone screens we are fixated on. When you add in laptops, tablets, TVs, and gaming consoles, the average person racks up 12 hours and 36 minutes on our devices each day.
And that was correspondent Stacy Lynn. January is almost here, and it's the best time to see the planet Jupiter. That's because it will be on the opposite side directly of the sun from Earth. Experts say Jupiter will be one of the shiniest objects in the sky from sunset to sunrise. And so you don't mistake it for a star. Planets have steady lights, unlike stars that twinkle. So what were the hottest trends of 2025? Apparently, people were hiring witches off Etsy.
You really are the brightest witch of your age.
So Sirius Black is talking about the famed and brilliant Hermione Granger from the Harry Potter movies. But since not all of us can slide into her DMs, many turn to Etsy to hire witches in 2025. It's been a huge thing this year, with witches getting booked online for everything from saving weddings to selling houses and, of course, getting yourself a soulmate. Some of them cost the same as a latte.
And that was correspondent Allison Keys. More Wicked is on the way for tonight. From the nautical mile of Freeport to the summer homes on Fire Island, we are Long Island's all-news station.
The News Watch never stops. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Good afternoon. It's 29 degrees at 4:40. I'm Suzanne Colucci, and here's what's happening. Happy New Year's Eve. Lots of confetti and possibly snow will be falling at midnight. The AccuWeather forecast for New York City's biggest night is minutes away. If you're heading to Times Square for the ball drop, entrance gates are now open, but it looks like a growing number of people are opting to celebrate at home this year. In a few hours, Zoran Mamdani will be sworn in as the city's new mayor, and for the first time ever, a Quran will be used for the official oath. New Jersey health officials are warning people, holiday travelers specifically, about a measles exposure at Newark Airport. A whole new sparkle is coming to Broadway in January. We'll tell you everything you need to know about BroadwayCon 2026. The Dow finished the last day of the year down 304 points. Winds news time, 441. Let's get you where you need to go. Here's Sue Aller.
Just spotted a new problem in the Bronx. It's on the Cross Bronx Expressway on the westbound side, just past 3rd Avenue. It's an accident taking out a lane, so that's going to cause some slowdowns getting to the outbound George Washington Bridge. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. So the worst approach will be from the Cross Bronx, at least 30 to 40 minutes. On the inbound side, that's also 45 minutes to both levels. We're looking at about 30 minutes both ways at the Lincoln, but 45 inbound at the Holland Tunnel and a 20-minute outbound delay. You have delays coming into Queens at the RFK Triborough Bridge. Brooklyn-bound Brooklyn Bridge is jammed, so definitely go with the Manhattan or the Williamsburg Bridge. And in Brooklyn, the BQE has an accident eastbound at Atlantic Avenue. And here's what we see on Long Island's Big Three. The westbound LIE is very slow by Glen Cove Road. The northern state is better, and the westbound southern slows down by the Meadowbrook, and eastbound right by the Water Parkway. And if you are heading into Manhattan today, leave that car at home. Take the trains. They're going to provide extra service to get you in and extra service to get you back home. Sue Aller, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
You can expect something besides confetti to be falling from the sky in Times Square. Snow is in the forecast. Here's AccuWeather's Brian Thompson.
In a few recent years, we've had temperatures in the 50s on New Year's Eve, but it has not been that warm this time around. It's certainly been a colder day. Temperatures have been mostly in the 30s, and that's pretty much where we're going to see temperatures hold through the evening hours. We'll see a temperature at midnight around 32 degrees. There will be a bit of snow or some flurries developing as the evening goes on, especially as we get closer to midnight. So it's not out of the question we could have some snow in Times Square for the ball drop. We don't anticipate much accumulation in Midtown. There could be a coating up to an inch across much of the area as we head into the overnight hours as temperatures eventually drop.
New Year's Eve, though, it seems more of us than usual, maybe in front of our TVs.
A lot of eyes will be watching more than the ball drop tonight. Mother of God. We'll be dropping in on Hawkins, Indiana for the last ever trip to the Upside Down. The Stranger Things series finale will be both in theaters and on Netflix. Easily could be its record audience. At the same time, Ryan Seacrest will be in Times Square for ABC for one thing no one wants to miss.
All eyes are on the ball.